and welcome back to my channel. So we're doing part 3 now of the Kerby picture from Imagimorphia, which is this one. And I've just pulled out everything that I'm going to need. I am a bit undecisive about what to do with the background, but I have pulled a couple of things out. I've got some new fresh sheets that I'm going to put behind just to protect the page. I do always have these sheets linked down below because they're really handy at protecting the page behind. So I think they are, I'm pretty sure they're A4 size, so I'll just use 2 in the Kerby books. I've got my blue tape that I found a trick. If you use the heat gun when you want to take it off, it melts the glue a little bit to get it easier off the paper so it doesn't rip the paper. This is just to protect the other side. And I'm going to put it on the leggings. If you would, if you don't mind, could you let me know what you think of the quality and the lighting, because I'm filming over night time, which I very rarely do now, but I'm thinking maybe that's the best time for me to actually film. So I have got 2 lamps on. I'm wondering what everybody thinks. A little bit more. I like doing 2 layers. And I will have that tape and everything I use. I'll try my best to remember everything that I use and link it all down below. But I do have a little store on Amazon of all my favourites in case you're interested. Now I pulled out this stencil, and I think this was a Tim Holtz stencil, and I got this from Hobbycraft. I'm thinking about using that towards the end. Now this is just dried ink. I've got some Winsor & Newton paints. Ooh, squeak. These are just the Cotmans, and there's a couple of professional ones dotted, like this one is the professional ones. I've got some clean water, 2 aqua brushes and 1 watercolour brush, and I've got some distress ink. So my plan was to use the distress ink first and then use the watercolour, but now I'm thinking I'm going to do the watercolour first and then the distress ink afterwards. That's my idea anyway. So I have cleaned part of my palette. I've cleaned half of it anyway. Just try and get it all ready. I'm trying my best to keep organised, but I've got stuff everywhere, all over my desk. So we'll use the aqua brush first. And I don't want to go too dark to start off with. I want to keep it these similar colours. I don't want to go too off. Now unfortunately I won't be able to tell you exactly what colour of these paints I'm using, purely because when I got this I didn't realise that I should have stuck the stickers onto the swatch chart. I didn't even think at the time. So your guess is as good as mine. I'm just mixing a colour that I like. Oh, that is very yellow, that one. Very yellow. So I'm going to tone that one down a bit. So add some browns and then just water this down. So this is just going to be my very first base layer. And I'm not covering everything. I just want this in certain areas because most of it, or the bits that I'll miss, like these itty bitty bits, I'll go over with distress ink. So let's just get started. You've seen me do this technique a couple of times before. I thought that this would be the easiest because I could not be bothered going around the whole of the owl. So I thought this would be a bit better. So if I do it in layers, I might get the finish that I'm after. This is a really mustardy colour though. I think it's a bit more on the yellowy side than I wanted, but it's not too bad. It is only that first layer. I'm not having trouble with my laptop. A 45-minute video is taking nearly 2.5 hours to export, and that's not even including the upload time. uploading that size video will probably take a couple of hours as well. So I'm gonna have to take it to a computer shop, I think. We'll see if I can mess around with it over the weekend. So same thing but the opposite way, and pulling the colour up. I don't really want to go past this because I want that to be the distressing. This is why I like doing backgrounds first. Add a bit more water to that because I'm a bit worried that I'm going to run out of colour, even though it will water it down ever so slightly. I might even use my heat gun, but the only thing is with the heat gun you've got to be so careful with these plastic sheets because they will bend and misshapen with the heat. It's not too bad though, because if they do that I cut them up and use them as acrylic palettes, so they do get used. I think by the time that I've finished this bottom bit, up there should be ready for a second layer. So I'll do it a little bit shorter here and try and keep my lines straight. Add some more browns to this now, I think. You can see the colours that I'm mixing there. Add some water to that. Bit of a darker brown, I think. There we go, that should be alright. I'm not sure whether I'm going to use the stencil. I do want to, but let's see how far we get. It is going a little bit dry, this, which I like. I prefer it being a little bit drier. Let's pull it down here. If you can hear tapping in the background, my husband's playing on Fable, I do believe. I can't kick him upstairs because I'm filming. That wouldn't be fair. So pull some of these colours up. And I think I'll let this dry and then add the distressing, and then if I'm not happy I can always add one or two more layers of the watercolour. But the only problem with that is once you add water to your distressing, it will activate the colours, so you might get a muddy mess. But the colours that I have chosen are quite similar. They are quite similar in tone, so I think I might get away with it. I'm going to add more of that brown though first. I do want more of that darker brown. So hold this down. Yeah, I want a little bit more of that, so if I just start wetting that. Mix them together. Leave that there for a minute just to sit on the page, and then I'll blend it out. See, if you do it quick enough, you won't get a really harsh line. It's just adding different tones in there. What are you doing, dog? It's quite dry, my brush now. I'm not adding anything else onto it. I'm going to leave that to completely dry before I use the distressing. I'm not going to use the heat gun right now because it's already bending a little bit and it's transferred to the paper behind. Always wouldn't be one of my pieces without that happening. So yeah, I'll be back in probably 10 minutes just to make sure that it's definitely dry. So that's been sitting now for almost 10 minutes and you can see that it's starting to wave up. I'm sure that I've shown on the channel before how to iron your pages if that bothers you. Anyway, these are the colours of the distressings that I've pulled out, and I'm having a good guess now that I'm going to end up going over this again with a darker shade. But I have pulled out these other watercolour paints, the KJ Designs by Karen. I'm not going to be able to open them now, there you go. And I think they were melted metal or something like that. Oh, the camera's not going to pick it up because of the light. But they are quite pretty, these. I'm thinking of, you know, pulling the colour down and up like I've done in a couple of other videos. Anyway, I've got two different blenders. I'm trying my best to use these ones. These are really cheap ones and they were marketed as ink blenders and I don't like them, but I am trying to use them. But I do like these ones, and these are my older ones, and these were marketed as makeup applicators, oval makeup sponge or oval makeup brush they were called. So I'll try with this, I'll persevere, I'll try with this. And all the white area, I'm trying to get a good frame, come on camera. All of that white area I want, not white basically. So, just on my nail apparently, just in circular motions, just making sure to load plenty of it up. This is where I don't have an issue with that other brush, with this one I do. And it's not really putting any, you can just about see it. I'm just checking the camera and yeah, it's true to life. You can just about see it, where that other brush works so much better. But like I said, I've got these and I am trying my best to use them. Oh, and it's pulling some of the ink tents up, so I'm going to have to be so careful on this side. Right, so that side I'm going to use my better brush, and I bet you it happens again. Just a pre-warning, I've just heard next door's dogs, so if I have to pause, see this one's not working very well, is it just the colour? If I have to pause and come back, you know why. Antique linen, I've never usually had an issue with this one before, but this one's doing this, oh, it's not too bad. It's got a bit of a tint to it. I think I'm just going to go with the darker shade. I've got Rusty Hinge. Try with this one. Lighter hand. See, that one's a little bit better. Maybe that just wasn't as dark as I needed it to be. That was probably the issue. You could go ahead and use the splatter effect as well here, what I've shown before. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do that, because if I get it on the ink tent, that will run everywhere. And all that hard work that I've already put in will run all down the page. So let's see if I can cover some of that whoopsie up there. It sort of looks like that he's in a cave. bring some of this colour up as well. And on the edges. It's a lot more orangey tone, this one though, which I'm not fully enjoying. Right, so I've got gathered twigs as well. Let's try that one, and I will try the other brush. This one seems to be picking up a little bit better. Actually, the splatter effect might look quite cool if I'm really careful. I might not need to add any more darkness if I manage to pull this off. Where I've added the watercolour, the ink is spreading out so much more easily and a lot further as well. Just want to get that little gap, but there we go. And the black, this is black soot, I believe. Yeah, black soot. Now I've used this one a lot, so I wouldn't surprise me if this one is running out. Let me move that water jar. I've still got these stencils to use. Where am I going to use them? I could always try with the black. Let me try that. That small one there, maybe, that little gear there. But I'm going to have to be careful because I don't want to get this area. Let me see. So if I just put it like that, hold it with my fingers. Circular motions, how is that going to turn out? I might have to go over, if I'm doing the splatter effect, I might have to go over and do that again, but that might add to it actually. See, you know, you've just got to mess around and experiment a little bit. I know that might be nervous on your colouring pages, but it's just paper at the end of the day. It's just paper. If you're nervous, try it on a PDF or scan your book or take a picture of the page that you're going to do. I've not added any more ink there, I'm just using whatever's on the brush like that, and then I'll do the same again. I'll add a little bit more this. Actually, we will go in with the gathered twigs and do the same thing here. I'll hold it down there with my very long nails that I need to go and get shortened. See, like that. Maybe one here as well. Add some more colour. I'm going to go over that other one a little bit here as well. I think that is looking quite cool actually. So if I just do half of one maybe here, just so it's not too much at the bottom, just like this. If I can move, I've got the tripod in the way there. Right, now this is where it's going to get interesting, because I'm going to try this splatter effect. This might be a big mistake, so let's move some things around and put some things away, because I don't think I'm going to use the watercolour again. So the watercolour can go away. That can go away. And then I am going to add that paint. I'm going to add that paint, that metallic paint as well. So splatter effect, just a cheap watercolour. It was a hairdresser bottle. It was just £1 from a cheap store. And I'm not properly pressing all the way in. I'm just going to tap it like that. And try not to get on the owl as best as I can. Just leave it for a second or two. And then press down. Once you've pressed down, just lift straight up. Don't move. Don't do that on it because it'll move the ink round. You just want to press firmly down and lift up. And as you go in as well, move your cloth so you're using a clean-ish part of the cloth. I mean, this is just super stained now with the amount of times I've used it with ink. I'm sort of rolling it on the paper. I will have to let this completely dry before I put the metallic watercolour on. But that shouldn't take too long, probably 10 minutes or so. I'm just double checking that I've not missed any areas, and we're looking good. Maybe 1 or 2 bits at the top there. Actually, I want a couple more splatters there and a couple more at the bottom. So higher up. Yep, and here comes the dogs and the neighbours. Right, so that's enough. So I'm going to let that completely dry and then we can come back. Right, so we're at the point where I think it's more or less dry. And I used last time, I'm pretty sure it might have been this brush. Now I am going to use this brush because stupid me got some sort of glitter glue in it. So there's parts of it that won't do the job that I wanted it to do. Even if I do that, you're not going to be able to see, but there's glitter coming off it. So would it be ideal for this job anyway? So I've wet all the colours, I've wet every single colour, and I'm just going to dip and turn my brush and not worry about mixing the colours. I'm not bothered. And pull them on a dry brush. So it's not going to be as in your face, and you won't get them really just dark lines, just like this. I bet you're thinking, oh no, what's she doing to that? But it's just to add a subtle something to the page. I did pre-wet these just a little bit. I'll have to go ahead and do that again in a minute. As in pre-wet, I just used the same bottle and put a couple of drops on each of them and drop it onto my page where I didn't want it. No. And dry that and leave that for a second. And then just dip into the colours again. It's just to add a little bit of something onto the page. You'll see better once I start moving the book around at the end. But you can actually hear how dry that is. Usually this brush has got a nice point to it. And if I want some more, like more detail, going with a smaller brush, and this is actually a watercolour brush. Same thing though. Because you're using it dry, you'll get them strokes. I didn't want too much, so this is perfect. Just a little bit of something. I think that's enough. So I'll pop that straight into water. So that's finished with now. Now I realise that I need my heat gun. So I did pull it out and have it ready. Plug it in. use the heat gun just ever so slightly here. I'm going to keep it quite far back because I don't want to melt the plastic. And I'll pull down as I go just to melt some of that glue. There we go, it's not ripped the paper, so I found a way of doing it. It's only took me how many months, so that can be unplugged. Put back on my table so we're out of the way. Now I can move these. Now all I need to do with these plastic sheets, is I could either use a baby wipe or run them under the tap and make sure they're fully dry before I use them again. But they're reusable over and over and over again, as long as you don't melt them like I've done a couple of times. Now I have got paint on the other side, that's my fault. If you're really bothered about paint going on the other side, you can always go with the blue tape or any sort of tape that you're using, your masking tape. You could go around the edges and tape it to the plastic, but because I didn't want that border this time, I didn't do that, but that would save the page behind it. And yes, I still plan on doing that video of how to tape a page that's like this. But that is the finished result. I'm really pleased with him, her. I don't know whether it's a boy or a girl. But I didn't even go ahead and add these, so I didn't really know what to do. I was going to do them in the turquoise. But that's the KJ designs. Let me move the light a little bit. Move it up. Very high and it's right in my face. It just gives it a little bit of a sheen. You're not getting really dark lines of watercolour paint. It's just a little something. And I think last time I used the Winsor & Newton ink, I think. So it gives a similar effect. Definitely a similar effect. But I hope that you enjoyed this 3-parter. I know that number 2 was a little bit shorter. But please do like the video and subscribe if you're new. Comment down below what do you think. I really like him and I really like the colours that I chose. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.